the Reds have a shot for this division next year. You look how the division shaked out this year, and if you have Bauer, Castillo, and Gray, Roark, and DeSclafani, dude, I mean, that's probably the best rotation in the division. Honestly, I mean, Bauer, Castillo, and Gray, that's the best 1, 2, 3 in the division.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, who do the Cubs have? Cubs have Lester for another year, and he's like 98 years old. I mean, Hendricks, okay. If they get a healthy Darvish, maybe. Hamels is gone.
Mm-hmm.
But who else? The Pirates? What, Tayon if he comes back healthy? Archer?
Yeah,
Trevor Williams? I mean, like, yeah, I'm just saying, like, Bauer, Castillo, and Gray they might be the best 1, 2, 3 in a division. And if you get a full season, productive season out of Jesse Winker and Nick Senzel to go along with Suarez and Dietrich, you know what I'm saying? Like, they actually have a decent team next year.
Yeah. And it wouldn't make sense for them. Why would they flip them? Like, why would they flip Bauer like right away when they gave up? It was a big haul they gave up, but too, like, Jesus.
Well, I mean, they gave up Trammell. He took a little step back this year, but he's still 21. He's in Double-A. I mean, he's athletic as hell. I mean, I think he'll figure it out. And they gave up Puig. I mean, Puig's done with his contract this year anyway. So, I mean, they had to get rid of him anyway. I mean, they were going to get, I think that just sweetened the deal for the Indians because they get 2 outfielders now, Reyes and Puig, who can help them now. You know what I mean? And add some pop to that lineup, which is what they desperately needed.
Yeah.
I think the Indians made out great.
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
They did. Yeah. Now I believe more than ever that they're winning that division.
No, Twins are still going to take it.
I don't know.
Twins aren't. Twins will make a move. Sergio Romo can't be the only move.
We'll see. Oh, we got 15 hours left now.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, I want the Twins to go get Syndergaard. Because aside from Barrios, the rest of their pitching staff's gone at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Odorizzi's on the last year of his deal. Pineda's the last year of his deal. Perez the last year of his deal. They're all gone. Gibson's the last year of his deal. So, I mean, if we can get someone like Syndergaard with 2 more years of control and someone like Ray, who we'll have for next year, I'd take that 1, 2, 3 right there going into the playoffs. Barrios, Syndergaard, and Ray this year. And then then you can throw Martin Perez in the bullpen, make him a lefty specialist. You have Odorizzi if you need a 4th starter. Gibson can go in the bullpen. To go along, we picked up Romo, still at Trevor May, Hildenberger, Taylor Rogers. I think it'd be solid staff.
Yeah,
we can. The Twins can hit.
Yeah,
I mean that Yankee series was crazy, dude.
Yeah, I know. That one game was insane. Freaking whatever it was, 12-10.
Oh my God, 14-12.
Oh yeah, 14-12.
That was insane.
Yeah.
As soon as we didn't win it in the bottom of the 9th, I knew we were going to lose.
Yeah.
Because we have bases loaded, nobody out, and we scored 1 run to tie it. And I was like, yeah, no, not good enough.
Yeah, like I was so worried that was going to be it right there, and then I was so surprised that Chapman got out of it. I was like, holy shit, he gave up 1 run. That's it.
Yeah, after he walked, didn't he walk like 3 guys in a row?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
he threw like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure he threw like 8 balls in a row or some shit.
Yeah, I would really want to see the Twins and Yankees in the ALCS because I think that would be it. I think that would be. I mean, dude, we played a 3-game series. You outscored us 30-27. I mean, it's gonna be crazy.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna.
Especially if you guys get Syndergaard and then we get somebody else. Like, I'm hoping either Ray or like Mad Bum, but I don't think Mad Bum's gonna happen.
I don't think so either, and I think the Giants are stupid.
Yeah,
I think it's a pipe dream. But you know what? People always yell. This is the thing that bothers me about this whole thing, though. People always yell about, oh, it's a business. Baseball's a business. It's turned into a business. Blah blah blah. They don't care about anything anymore. Well, You know what? They won 3 World Series together. It's Bruce Bochy's last year. They're playing really well right now. They're like, what, 2 games out of a wild card spot? 3 games out of a wild card?
Mm.
I understand. Granted, you're not going to get anything from Mad Bum. Yeah, I get it. Will Smith. Oh, okay. I see it. But, maybe give them a little credit. Because they're actually giving their fans this last hurrah that maybe their team can make a run and make a wild card, and you never know. I mean, if you make a wild card game and you have Mad Bum pitching that wild card game, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, granted, talent-wise, they don't stack up even close to the dot. Well, really, no one does, but not in the National League anyway.
Mm-hmm. No.
But I mean, I don't think they would go far in the playoffs anyway, either. But it's the same thing like what Kansas City did a couple of years ago with Hosmer and Moustakas and Kane. They kept all the guys together instead of trading them because they wanted to make one last run. Of course, Kansas City didn't make it, but I don't know. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, "Oh, I'm pissed because baseball's a business now," and blah 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 blah. Look, all these old school people, and then when your team does something like this and gets a little sentimental, hangs on to Bum Gun, maybe they make a run, maybe they make the playoffs, maybe Bum resigns. You don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't. There's just so many fans that want it both ways. They bitch about it being a business, and then a team does something like this and shows some loyalty to play out the season. Bochy on his last year, and I get pissed at that too. So like some people just complain no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see them going anywhere either. But like, I kind of see both sides of it. So it's like, if they don't do anything, they're going to lose him for nothing over the offseason. So it's like, I see that part of it too. But
yeah,
it's still nice to see that they're going to try to at least make a run out for like a little bit of a run.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to have. It's always good to have the Giants in it. As far as it is, they adds another team. The National League's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah.
I mean, between there are it's the Nationals, the Phillies, the Cardinals, the Cubs, the Brewers, and the Giants. Those 6 teams are within 3 games of each other. And the Diamondbacks are only a game under 500.
Yeah.
So, it's really obviously someone's going to win the NL Central. Right now, the Cardinals and Cubs are tied, and Milwaukee's like 2 games out or something like that, or a game and a half. But I'm sticking with my pick for the World Series this year, man. The Nationals. I'm sticking with it.
Oh, okay.
I'm sticking with it. I think I had the Nationals beating. The Nationals beating either the Astros or the Yankees.
Yeah.
I just think it's ironic. I just thought it would be perfect irony that the Nationals finally win a World Series, their first in franchise history, like after Harper leaves.
Oh yeah, that would be hilarious.
He's gone.
That would literally mean he's like the most overrated player. Like,
yeah, I think he's overrated.
Yeah. Definitely not worth that much money. Like, Jesus Christ.
Well, he's worth it to the franchise because he sells tickets. On the field wise, I don't think he's worth it.
No.
But as far as selling tickets and stuff like that, I mean, you heard as soon as he signed with the Phillies, they had like 80,000 season tickets were bought that day or something like that. Like, so, we talk about a business. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
You're making an investment into Harper to get a return on your investment, and the return on the investment for the owners is more money. But you look at it this way, if they get a return on investment, they spend money on other players to surround Harper with,
Yeah.
At Philly, I don't think Philly has any, but I think they showed it. I don't think Philly has any problem spending money. They want to bring another championship.
Mm-hmm.
So, Philly just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just not a well-balanced team. Like, I don't know what's wrong with them, but they haven't gotten the production out of their starters. I mean, Pavetta was a garbage. It was a fucking dumpster fire for a large part of this year. Arrieta is getting old.
Yeah.
He's aged quickly. Nola kind of sucked in the beginning of the year. He's found his rhythm now, but
Yeah, Nola was my Cy Young pick. At the
yeah,
beginning of the year.
they need pitching.
Yeah.
They need pitching.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they do tomorrow, or before tomorrow.
I'm wondering because no one's really talking about the Phillies making any moves.
Yeah.
Like I haven't heard them really mentioned with any of these guys, like any of these pitchers or anything.
Nah.
Maybe they're just going to take this season as like, let's play it out, see where we go. Maybe we get hot with the team we have, and then roll with it going into next year, and possibly throw money at Garrett Cole.
Yeah.
He's going to be huge. He's going to be the big name, really.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the other guys I'm trying to think of what hitters are going to be out there next year. But a lot of the big names are either young or signed.
If the Yankees don't re-sign Didi, then it will be a big name out there.
Yeah.
But hopefully they re-sign him, though. I want him to.
Rendon's going to be a big name. Rendon's going to get paid, dude.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Zach is going to get paid.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a top 3 third baseman. You could argue he's the best, but I would put Rendon, Chapman, and Arenado as the top 3.
Yeah, I would too.
I mean, you can put them in any order you want, but I'd say they're definitely top 3. Yeah. I think Rendon is actually the best hitter out of the 3.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, Arenado's got power. Coors helps that a little bit, and Chapman and Arenado both have the fielding over Rendon, but I think Rendon is the best hitter.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see where he goes.
Definitely, yeah.
I personally think the Braves are going to sign him. And that's why I think the Braves should trade for a pitcher now.
Mm-hmm. That would be interesting.
I mean, because you look at it this way, the Braves are leading the division. They signed Donaldson to 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
They have Austin Riley coming up, but he could be a huge piece in a trade package to get another pitcher. And don't forget, they have other starters coming. I mean, Soroka's been awesome this year. They still have Gausman. Keuchel they signed for this year. That's why I'm surprised they didn't go harder after like someone like Bauer, because I think they could have. I think if they would have included, which they might not have wanted to do, but if they would have included someone like Christian Patch or Drew Waters, one of their 2 outfielders they have coming up, if they would have included one of those guys, I think they might have been able to get Bauer. I just don't know how willing they were to include one of them because they're both looking like studs coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they would have been willing to do that.
Yeah, and one of them is going to be playing right field next year. Probably Patch, because I think he's closer to the majors. Because Markakis was only signed on a 1-year deal. And he's gone after this year.
Mm-hmm.
And Inciarte is meh in center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So maybe they wanted to keep both of them, have Patch play right, and then put Waters up in center once Inciarte's deal is done, because they locked him up to a 5-year deal a couple years ago. So I think he's got 2 more years after this year left on his deal.
Yeah.
But so many moving parts at the trade deadline for all these teams. Like what are the we look at the Mets. What the hell are the Mets doing?
I have no idea. Like, I was so confused when I saw that they traded for Stroman. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, I didn't understand it either. But
I mean, I don't really understand the Reds either for Bauer, but it makes a little bit more sense. I think maybe.
I think the Reds feel they are closer, and I think they were bolstered by the fact that they actually played better so far than anyone thought they would.
Hello?
Yo.
Hello?
Yo.
Joey.
What's good?
What's up, my man?
Oh. Yo, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I hear you. Sorry, I had I'm a fucking retard.
Why?
I had my headphones plugged in and I didn't even realize it.
Oh, I do that too. So
Yeah, I just got done with the End Zone podcast or whatever with those guys that the mage sent my way or that sent your way.
Oh, really? How'd that go?
It went well, man. It went really well. It was actually they were like recording video and everything.
Cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think the video's on Twitter. I don't even know like if they put it on separate platforms like Spotify or anything, but yeah, like they put I was watching a little bit of the after show, which they like turned into a show. But
Sounds like us.
Yeah.
yeah.
It was like we were just sitting there bullshitting and talking about random sports. Like we were talking about a little bit of hockey, like just all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
But
I'm probably gonna end up posting this as a like an episode tomorrow.
there you go.
Because fuck it at this point.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So what's up with you guys?
Nothing much, man. We've just been talking about the trades so far and, moves that could be made and whatever. We just started kind of pretty much going over kind of probably what we're going to talk about tomorrow.
Yeah. Probably already talked about it all.
Yeah, well, it's like, it's just like, all right, who's left? What are the teams left that need something? And we were just talking about, like, it's kind of weird that the Mets got Stroman and the Reds got Bauer. Like, you wouldn't think of those two teams as buyers necessarily, you know what I mean?
Yeah, those were the least likely. Well, that's kind of what I was like talking about in the article is like, what are these teams like? How do they view themselves? Like how did they view themselves as like buyers, or are they looking at like, okay, we have an extra year of control, or like one like next year, so let's. It's so weird. Like I don't know. Like Bauer could get flipped. I feel like. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think he's going to get flipped tomorrow. I was telling Alex, I honestly, if you look at the Reds right now, they could win that division next year. I mean, because you look at their top three starters now. They have Bauer, Luis Castillo, and Sonny Gray.
Yeah, that's a solid three.
I mean, that's probably the best 1, 2, 3 in the division, arguably. Yeah. I mean, no offense to your Cubs, but Hamels is gone. Lester's 88 years old, and and you got Hendricks and maybe a healthy Darvish. Like, what else you guys got? Like,
right.
And then you look at Pittsburgh. Does Taillon come back strong? He's hurt again. I mean, is he coming back strong? Archer has been meh. What else do they have? Trevor Williams. I mean, and then even we know the Brewers don't have a starting staff. So, I mean, I'm just saying, and then even the Cardinals, I mean, all right, you get Jack Flaherty, but Michael Wacha, like, I mean, I'm just saying Bauer, Castillo, and Gray, and then you got Roark and DeSclafani as your 4-5. That's probably the best pitching. That's probably the best starting staff in the division. And then if you get a healthy, you get a decent Votto. Suarez does his thing. He'll hit you 35 bombs. And you get a full season of a healthy Jesse Winker and Nick Senzel, they can make some noise, man. They could be a really good team.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, their offense was kind of like, I was looking at their offense going into the year, and I was like, this team, even without Puig, they still have the pieces. And now, like you said, with Sonny Gray, now that he's not in New York, I mean, it's so clear that he just couldn't handle the bright lights, in my opinion.
Definitely.
Like he even said, like, came out and said, like, it just wasn't the right fit for him. And like that, dude, their starting staff with those three. I mean, you have to, if Sonny Gray keeps on like he is this year, that three right there is pretty huge. Like with your offense, and then you need Scooter to Jeanette to kind of pick it up. But
I think he's done after this year, isn't he?
Oh, is he done?
I think he's a free agent. They have Dietrich.
Okay, Dietrich. Yeah, Dietrich. I like.
He just got another year.
Well, so they could plug him right in at second base. You got Senzel in center.
Yeah, Suarez at third.
Yes.
Who are they playing at short? Peraza at short?
Peraza, who's been solid. I mean, not overpowering and not great, but solid.
Yeah, and who else do they have in the outfield? There's Shebler.
Winker. Shebler, is he? I think he's in the minors, though, right? Van Meter's been killing it.
Yeah, Vermeer. That's right. I forgot about him.
Van Meter, since he got called up, like when he was first with the team earlier this year, he was terrible. And then they just called him back up, I think, at the beginning of July or like the first week of July. And his average is over 300. And he was like three straight, excuse me, I can't freaking talk. 3 straight games where he hit a homer just a couple days ago. Or I think it was over the weekend. But, I mean, you can't really rely on that. It's a small sample. But,
Yeah.
the weird thing with Votto is, though, like he's going to be, 36 next year?
36 or 37. Yeah, he's getting up there. He's still got like 4 more years on his contract, too.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, he's got like a Pujols contract. He's signed to like 40, 41, something like that.
That's not good. That's the guy they need to look at moving right now.
Well, they ain't moving him. No one's taking that contract. No one's taking that contract for a first base. Not only that, too, you got to remember Votto can void any contract. He's got 10-5 rights. So
plus, who wants not only who wants it, but like he means too much to Cincinnati. I feel like too, like the fan base.
Exactly. He's going to stay there. He'll retire a Red, no doubt. I don't think they're moving him. I don't think he's going to want to go. And Votto's a little weird like that. Like he's a little different in the head. Like I can't see him wanting to go anywhere else. So I think the Reds are just like, yeah, we'll just hang on to him. It's going to be like a Mauer contract.
Did you guys ever? Yeah. Did you guys ever see the video where Votto was like walking to Wrigley? He went up to the gate, and they had no idea who the hell he was.
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, I'm Joey Votto. I'm playing today, or like whatever he told them. It's like what?
Yeah, he's a weird dude, man. He's a strange guy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Funny though, watching some of this stuff.
Yeah.
When his comments,
I love Votto though. I mean, Votto was he's taken a step down, but I mean, the past say 5 years or so, I don't know if anyone's had plate discipline like he has, dude.
No, not even.
Dude, you know, his power was come and gone over his career too. That's what's kind of weird about it. It's almost like one year he decides to like hit home runs, and then the next year he decides to hit line drives. Like I don't know. It's happened a couple times in his career. Like he'll hit like 34 home runs, and next year he hits 15. Like
like even like some of those. I think some of those years though, was he dealing with injury or like?
I don't know if he was dealing with it, but there were some years, like I'd have to look back on it again. But I know there was one time where he only hit like 14, 15 home runs on like a full season. Like, and it was after hitting like 34 or something like that. Like, I don't know. It's just like, it was weird.
I know
like he's always had power. Like he's got a great swing, you know, commands of the strike zone, obviously. But I don't know. I wonder, Joey Votto a Hall of Famer?
Dude, that's a tough one. I don't know. That dude, he like his eye for the strike zone, like you were saying. I mean, he like his plate discipline is just ridiculous. That one stat, I think Alex, you were gonna put that on the pod, or if we maybe we did already, but that one week where we're coming up like the weirdest stats or whatever, but like his pop up stat or whatever is just ridiculous.
Yeah, that was like the one where he popped up for the first time in his career or something.
Yeah. That's crazy.
First time in his career, in his long ass career.
Yeah, it's not like his career was like 2 years. It took him like 12 years.
Right.
Years, like, yeah.
The guy's gonna be 36. He just popped up to first base.
It's funny because he took over first base. If I'm not mistaken, he took over first base from it was either Paul Canerco or Edwin Encarnacion.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yeah, when he came up. Yeah. Because the Reds had both of them. I'm not sure if Konerko was already on the White Sox though when Votto came out. I think he was. I think Edwin Encarnacion was the first baseman because Edwin Encarnacion came up as a third baseman, and I think they moved him to first because he was atrocious at third. You know, and after Encarnacion left, I think Votto took over for him.
I think I remember something like that with the Encarnacion thing. I didn't know about Konerko though.
Yeah, Konerko came up. I believe he came up with the Reds.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and then he went to the White Sox, and well, he was good with the White Sox. You know, obviously he was there for a long time, but
yeah, he's very. I think he's really underrated. Konerko,
oh yeah,
he was really good with the Sox. But like, how long was Encarnacion? How long was he with the Blue Jays then? Like,
he was with them for a while. He was with the Blue Jays for a while.
So
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't even remember how long he was there. I remember him being. That's the one team I remember him being with the most, though, for the longest.
Yeah, I think he was there the longest, but he was with the Reds for a while in the beginning of his career. He was with the Reds for, I want to say, about 4 or 5 years, and then they traded. I'm trying to remember who they traded him for to Toronto, but they traded him to Toronto like before his rookie deal ended. You know, before the 6 years are up or whatever, and then Toronto just re-signed him. You know, a couple times. I think they gave him a 3-4 year deal the first time, and then like another 3 year deal or something like that. So I think he was with Toronto the longest of his career. He definitely made his mark more with Toronto than anywhere else. Same thing with Konerko with the White Sox.
Yeah.
You know,
But
you remember guys.
At least the Reds had a good backup plan, though.
Yeah.
But they had a good replacement for both those guys.
Yeah, like I said, Votto's gonna, Votto will be a Red for the rest of his career, no doubt. Like I said, no one's taking that contract. First base is not something that is on high demand. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's kind of where, where the hitters go when they can't play another position. You put them in first, or where catchers go, like when they can't catch anymore. Your first base is kind of like the pan at the bottom of the grill. It filters down.
That's where you get all the leftover burnt crumbs.
Exactly. But if you can hit, then it's fine. But first base is not seen as a defensive position. It really never has been. There are very few in history that stand out as like excellent defensive first basemen. There aren't many.
Right.
Mattingly, Keith Hernandez, like guys like that. Like, yeah, other than that, most guys who play first base started out somewhere else. You know what I mean? They started out in the outfield and they were too slow, so they went to first base. They started out third base. Their arm didn't work, so they moved them to first. They started out as catchers, but they wanted to save their legs because they can hit. They moved them to first. Like stuff like that. So,
Piazza.
Yeah, Piazza. I mean, Mauer.
Yeah.
Posey.
Yeah.
You look at Posey.
Travis d'Arnaud to an extent sometimes.
Oh, God. We were mentioning good players.
Yeah, well, dude, he's actually been hitting the shit out of the ball.
Yeah,
recently. He's not.
That's the funniest thing too, because that whole deal with R.A. Dickey to the Blue Jays for d'Arnaud and Syndergaard. d'Arnaud was like the main guy in that trade.
Oh yeah.
Syndergaard was like a 19-year-old kid. Like they didn't, you know what I mean? Like they knew he had potential, but he was like in rookie A ball. d'Arnaud was the main piece because d'Arnaud was supposed to be like a stud catcher.
d'Arnaud, he had the Tommy John, right?
I don't know if he had Tommy John.
I thought it was d'Arnaud because he started. Oh, wait a second.
I'm not sure if
he started with the Mets this year, right? Like early in the season, and then they were like, he can't catch anymore.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Shipped him off, and I think did he have like a stint somewhere else before Tampa?
Yeah, it was the Dodgers, I think.
Was he?
No,
With the
I think
was
Dodgers?
it the Dodgers?
I thought it was. I'm gonna look up right now.
I haven't tracked on those movements
I
this
feel like it was.
season.
Yeah,
But-
sorry. I don't know. I get too weird with this shit sometimes.
No,
but
no. I don't know where Don Noah's been. I don't really.
I'm pretty sure it was the Dodgers, but I don't know.
It could be.
it's not a normal thing to track, Johnny. It's just
Yeah.
No.
it's perfectly
Well,
fine if
Dodgers-
nobody else knows.
The
Yeah, it
Dodgers
was,
have like a
yeah,
glut
it
of
was the
catchers
Dodgers.
now.
He played for the Mets for 10 games and then went to the Dodgers. He only played one game with the Dodgers.
There you go.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know it was I knew it was another team. I didn't know it was the Dodgers though.
It's like when Piazza played for the Marlins for 10 days and then like went to the Mets.
That's news to me also.
Yeah. Piazza and Todd Zeal went from the Dodgers to the Marlins for like 10 days. And then the Marlins traded him to the Mets.
Yeah.
Was
Both of them.
Todd Zeal the big piece in that trade?
No, Piazza was obviously the big piece.
I just thought that'd be perfect if he was with the Darno and Syndergaard.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Todd Zeal, the big piece.
Yeah.
The big third baseman that they needed. Piazza's a throw-in. Yeah, former rookie of the year. He's a throw-in.
Todd Zeal, the GOAT.
The goat. Todd Zeal. Oh God.
Oh,
They've had the Mets have had a few Todds. Todd Zeal, Todd Hundley.
yeah, he was a Cub too. Todd Hundley.
Yeah.
His dad, Randy.
His dad was a Cub. Yeah. Randy Hundley was a catcher.
Yeah, he was actually pretty damn good.
The Mets had Todd Pratt.
Todd Pratt. Oh man, I forgot about Todd Pratt. He was what did he play? Third?
The catcher.
Oh, he caught Todd
Yeah.
Pratt.
So did Todd Zeal. Ironically, he came up as a catcher. They moved him to third base.
Huh.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, I remember. I'll never forget the Mets experiment putting Todd Hundley in left field. That was like, that was like a comic. It was a comedy show, dude. You think Schwarber's bad in the outfield? He's just Todd Hundley.
Dude, Schwarber, believe it or not, dude, he's gotten a lot better in the outfield. Like last year, like he's actually pretty solid. I thought he was going to be a train wreck, and he was like early on in his career.
Yeah.
And even in the playoffs, like he was a train wreck. But now it's like, damn, he plays some solid. I mean, I know it's left field, so it's not the same as even right field for that matter. But like I don't know, he's serviceable out there. He's more than he throws out guys at the plate, and like that wasn't his problem, was his arm. But like even judging the ball, like
yeah, I mean. Yeah, there's no reason he can't get better. I mean, that's the same thing that people say about Clint Frazier too. Like, and Alex, you would know this with the Yankee fans because Clint Frazier's a horror show in right field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but I mean, it doesn't mean he's not working on it. It doesn't mean he can't get better. At least up to like an average outfielder. I don't think Clint Frazier's ever winning a Gold Glove. Neither is Schwarber.
Mm-hmm.
But
right, yeah,
like you said, to be serviceable enough where you feel comfortable putting him in the field to keep his bat in the lineup. Definitely.
He's definitely like a lot of guys. Even I don't know. A lot of guys were even saying like, well, he's got to play for an American League team, and I was kind of one of them that he could be like, well, a trade ship, type piece that you can move to an AL team to play DH somewhere, or like you said, just I'll toss him at first base. That'll do. But you're not doing that with the Cubs because you got Rizzo over there. So
right.
He's like one of the few like irreplaceable first baseman types. But like, well, I mean, he's still replaceable. Maybe the bat wise, I don't know. I'm gonna get a lot of shit for that, but like now it's like, man, he can legit play the outfield. I mean, I feel totally comfortable with him in left field. I don't really even think about it. It's just a matter of like, are you gonna keep hitting now?
Yeah.
With him, which is weird.
Yeah, I mean, the hitting's fine. I mean, he is what he is, He walks, strikes out, hits some bombs. Like, he's today's player.
Yeah.
As far as that goes. So, the Cubs just gotta, the most important guys on that team, Rizzo, Bryant, Baez, obviously, and Contreras. They got to keep that infield. The outfielders you can find.
So it's so weird. Like, a lot of people have been bringing this up, and I want to ask you guys this, but a lot of people are talking because the contract situation with Baez and Bryant, they're going to have to fork out some serious money to both of those guys if they want to keep them. And everybody's pretty much saying that it's an either or type. And I don't know if that's the case because I think they can allocate their money a little bit better than what people are realizing. But if that is the case, what do you do? I mean, which player do you play? I know who I'm picking, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts on that.
What do you think, Alex?
Wait, sorry, I missed the whole question. I wasn't paying attention.
If you had to sign, basically what Joey's saying is the Cubs once Baez and Bryant, their contracts come up, they're basically going to have to pick and sign one of them. Who do you sign?
Oh, that's tough.
At least if they have to pick, but
If they have to pick,
yeah.
Oh shit. I'd go with Baez, just because I think he's. I don't know. Bryant's like he was like a big piece of their team, but now I feel like he's not going to be as consistent anymore. Like after a few years at least. Like he'll still be good in the next few years, but then I think Baez is well, how old is Baez? Like 20.
they're about the same age.
They're about the same. I think 26 or 25 or 26, I believe.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
I don't know.
They're close. I think Bryant might be a year older, but they're close in age.
Yeah. I just feel like Bryant is kind of going to fall off a little bit. Baez I think he'll be more consistent. It's a tough one though. I don't know.
Do you have reasons why you think he would fall off over Baez?
I don't know. Not really. Just kind of think that way. I don't know.
What do you think, Johnny?
I don't know. That's a tough one, man. Before this year, I probably would have gone Bryant. And I know Bryant, they're both such good players. But I think Baez gives you more defense up the middle because he can play second and short. Bryant can't play short. I mean, yeah, you can throw him at second, and he's a decent third baseman. But fielding-wise, and the hitting, like I wouldn't have believed in Baez. I didn't believe in Baez this year. I thought last year was like an anomaly that he was going to come down. The guy's proven me wrong. The guy's proven that he can hit anything, even with his bad, like swinging, like everything. Like he swings at everything, but he's turning into another like Vlad Guerrero type. Like he just hits where the ball's pitched. And I just don't. The only thing I worry about is the length of the contract, because I feel that Bryant will age better into his 30s than Baez will. Because a lot of Baez's game is quick movements, bat speed, things like that, to be able to hit those pitches that aren't necessarily in the strike zone. And he's not going to, at this point, he's not going to learn pitch recognition as much as far as plate discipline goes. So long term, if I was going to sign one of them to like an 8-year deal or something like that, I think it would be Bryant, because they think he ages better. But I think over the next couple of years, I think Baez might be more valuable. So it depends on how you want to go. Like, I don't know like how the length of the contracts would be either, because that's another factor too. Can you sign Bryant to a 7-year, 8-year deal at $25 million a year? And Baez, would he take the same thing? Like, there's a lot of other stuff to weigh. If you're telling me
definitely.
it's going to be a 7-8 year deal, I think I might edge Bryant only because, like I said, I think he ages better. But
That makes sense.
right now, if it's a shorter term deal, if it's like a 4 or 5 year deal, and you're putting them back on a free agency when they're like 31 or whatever, I think I take Baez. But if you're going to try to lock the guy up until he's 34, 35, then
So
I take Bryant. Hello?
that's all really good points. Like, yeah, hello?
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 Yeah, sorry, Joey, you were
Hello?
breaking up a little
Yeah,
bit
hello?
on my
Hello?
end. I don't know. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, oh, yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can. You were breaking up a little bit for a minute.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Yeah, I think it was because I was looking something up, but if I'm not mistaken, now because I was doing research earlier, but I see these guys play a lot, so it's not really, you don't have to look at too many numbers to know, but like, I don't know. Like you guys both make really good points, but like war wise, looking at B War right now from Baseball Reference, Baez and Bryant are deadlocked at 3.6. So like it really is like it's a really warranted question. I feel like I don't know, it's a real tough decision for management if they're going to be put in that position. That's going to be a real tough decision because I feel like Bryant is going under the radar a lot, but like since I think it was June 1st or July 1st. I think it was July 1st, really. He's right there with he's putting up some career numbers with and as far as OPS goes, as far as weighted runs created, WOBA. I mean, and I believe it was July 1st, the number I was looking at. The only guys that were ahead of him in some of those categories were the names that you'd expect: Trout, Yelich, Bellinger. I mean, he
Yeah.
was right behind those guys, like fourth and fifth in a lot of categories. So, and then last year, you got him dealing with the shoulder, so he was hurt for playing through the injury because you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't when it comes to these players. Oh, well, he's hurt. Whether it's something that with him, it was something that he needed rest and not necessarily a surgery, but like he wasn't getting the rest. He was just playing. So, like, if he doesn't play through it, then he's looked at like a pussy, pretty much. That's how fans look at it. Or, not me, but like that's how some fans will look at it. Well, he's not playing through it. And there's something to be said about a guy that'll go out there even though he's hurt and play through it too. I love that mentality. But like now that he's fully healthy, going into the season, he was my breakout player, or not breakout player, but comeback player that I had picked, and it's looking to be correct because he's really putting up numbers that are just kind of being overshadowed by the flashiness.
Oh, let me ask you this, Joey. When is Rizzo's contract up?
Rizzo's contract. He's signed through. Oh, that's a good question.
Do you sign Baez and Bryant and let Rizzo go? That would be my thinking.
If you're asking me, the smart man, I'm not saying I'm smart, but
The logical baseball mind, not the Cubs fan.
exactly. I'm gonna say Rizzo. If you are asking me what I think they will do, they're going to bring back Rizzo because they know how much he means to the organization or to the fans. Like he's the guy that's been there since day one before this rebuild started.
Theo brought him in. Theo drafted him on the Red Sox.
Yeah, I know.
And then traded him to the Padres for Adrian Gonzalez.
But that goes back to your point of what guys are replaceable, what positions are more replaceable.
That's what I'm saying. First base. Yep.
Is more replaceable. And I love Rizzo. He's my favorite player, not named Javi Baez.
Rizzo's awesome. I mean, as far as what he does for the community and stuff, I mean, you see it all the time and everything. Rizzo's incredible, no doubt. But in a pure baseball aspect, if you have this X amount of money to spend, and you can only allocate it to certain players, I mean,
Yeah.
Baez and Bryant are more valuable than Rizzo
No, I get it. I
On the
totally
field.
get it.
on the field.
On the field, exactly. And like
You know,
I totally get that. Like if you're gonna project who's gonna remain more consistent, and this is the whole thing with Baez. He's kind of like that weirdo type of player where all the predictors, and I'm one of them when it comes to DFS and stuff, but we're not talking about that. But you look at his underlying stats, and they tell you he's going to fall off. They tell you he's not doing as well as he's producing on the field, but then he just keeps producing and he keeps producing, and he's so flashy, and it like he is one of those. He will keep producing. I don't really have at this point. I really don't have any questions. But if what I don't know what that noise is, but if he if there was one guy that I think that might not in the future, it would be, I mean, not with Rizzo included, but one guy that might not produce out of the two, him and Bryant, it would be Baez but like you guys said, he plays a position that's so much more valuable than Bryant does. So you got to factor that in too. And I don't know. It's a really tough. That's why I wanted to ask you guys, because personally, I'm torn between the two of them, and I would probably lean Bryant, which is not popular among fans. Everybody wants to get rid of. They like forgive Baez for anything wrong that he does on the field, and they don't forgive Bryant for the shit that he does wrong when he's so solid. And it just doesn't. It's mind-boggling. He just does not get the praise that he deserves, and I don't know. It's a tough decision. I don't know.
You know what's weird about it too is that Chris Bryant came up, a couple of years after Bryce Harper, and Chris Bryant came up to like a lot of fanfare because he was sent to the minor leagues just to save the service time. Of course, they said he needed to work on his defense. Blah blah blah. We all know that was a bunch of shit. But
right.
Chris Bryant came up, won Rookie of the Year. The next year, he won the friggin' World Series. I mean, like MVP.
Yeah.
People forget how good Chris Bryant is. Like they forget about him. We talk about all these other guys. We talk about Harper. Of course, we talk about Trout because Trout, God. But we talk about all these other guys that were hyped coming up and they actually produced. Because a lot of times that happens. These guys are hyped coming up and they don't produce. And they become post-type players because they come up when they're 22, 21, 22. They don't produce right away. People think they're busts. And then 2 years later, especially with pitchers, like people don't realize that you can't just hit the ground running in the major leagues as a pitcher. Like it's a very rare occasion where a guy comes up, pitches well from day one, and then continues it. It's very rare. It's more rare for pitchers than it is for hitters.
Yeah, definitely.
And then when you see guys like Strasburg, always pitched well. Of course, he got his injury issues, but even you look at guys like Scherzer. I mean, Scherzer, his first few years in Detroit. I mean, you're talking about 4.8 ERA, 4.3 ERA. Like, he got it. He wound up getting it down after the first few years. But I mean, by the time he was throwing in the low threes with Detroit, we're talking he's like 27, 28 years old. So, people forget this stuff. Not everyone could be Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw was just ridiculous from like day one. But pitchers is a much bigger learning curve for pitchers.
Yeah, definitely. Because they don't even know. I mean, all these scouting reports and stuff, and guys try to get reads on pitchers, but it's a nerve factor too. I mean, you have to make an adjustment to the type of hitters that you're facing, and these big league hitters are not something you won't get away with a mistake. You might get away with a mistake at the AAA level or at the AA level,
Right.
but you leak one over the middle, whether it's a hanging slider, whether it's a fastball, curveball, doesn't matter. You leak one over the middle because of your nerves, or maybe you're just not as sharply tuned as people thought, and then it gets exposed once you get, because a lot of times guys will still look at stats. Or we'll look at his K rate, look at his whiff percentage. Well, then you bring that stuff to the big leagues, and that's all fine and great, but you let them leak, you're gonna get fucking rocked.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, and you look at some of these guys that come up and they pitch well in the beginning, and then all of a sudden they start getting hit. It's exactly what happens. They get a scouting report, and they actually see the guy. It's the same thing when we say about like in game. A starter seeing a lineup for the third time around. Starters generally 99% of them don't do as well third time around the lineup. Well, you can say that same thing about a larger sample size as far as the season goes, because you get a young guy like a Domingo Germán. Just use the Yankees for an example. He pitches against the Red Sox, shuts them down. He may pitch against them a second time and do well, but the more that lineup sees him, now they know what he did against them last time. So on a larger scale, you get the same thing. And that's what makes it amazing for pitchers who can be consistent year in and year out, because you're facing these lineups. I mean, you look at someone like a Max Scherzer, who has faced the Braves, the Phillies. Look at the lineups he's faced for the past 5 years, over and over and over again, and he still dominates. Like, that's a rare thing.
Yeah.
People don't give these guys a lot. People don't give these pitchers who are consistent that way, don't give them enough credit, I think. Even if you could say, and I'll tell you, one of the most underrated pitchers in the major leagues, and I'll say it right now, is John Lester.
Yeah.
That dude has always just been he's always been John Lester. He'll go out there, 200 innings, give you 30 starts, and he does what he does. Playoff performer. He's got a great playoff record. And he gets guys out. He just gets guys out. He's done it in Boston, and he's done it in Chicago.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like, there's no advanced stats that'll say, nothing that you look at will be like, oh, John Lester's, he's awesome, he's so good. And that's part of the problem with just strictly being a stat head, because just some of these stat heads, I mean, we all are to an extent, but the guys that only look at that and they don't look at what he really does on the field, he's not pitching to strike everybody out. I mean, obviously he doesn't have a 97-mile-an-hour heater anymore, and I know he's not John Lester of old, but he's closer to John Lester of old than he is John Lester of ready to be done. Just by the way he's pitching, at least, and by the way that he's remained consistent. I don't know. It really is remarkable to watch guys like that. Yeah, like you said, undervalued, underappreciated.
Definitely is. And you got to remember, I mean, the Cubs signed him 6 years, $150 million. He's lived up to his contract.
Oh, absolutely. One of the best signings in Chicago history. Not just the Cubs. In Chicago sports history, one of the best free agent signings. I'll say that.
Definitely. I mean, what hasn't he done? I mean, you weren't expecting Max Scherzer or Clayton Kershaw. You were expecting John Lester, and that's what you paid for, $25 million a year. And the dude pitches every day, every fifth day. He goes out and pitches. He's a competitor. He's never been a big strikeout guy. Even when with Boston, yeah, he would strike out. Maybe in his best seasons, he would strike out 9.5 per nine. But he was never like a Chris Sale or someone like that. Like he just pitched. He's a workhorse, and there's something to be said about that. And it's almost like I compare John Lester a lot to someone like a Mike Mussina. Mussina just went out there with Baltimore and the Yankees. Just went out there, did his thing. Mussina never had dominant years. He never won a Cy Young. I don't even think he was top 5 ever. Like, he just went out there, did his thing for 20 years. Like, and that's Lester. Lester's had the opportunity to be in the playoffs more than Mussina has. Mussina, as well, has a great playoff record. But I see Lester fitting the same thing. And we talk about Hall of Fame. I think John Lester's a Hall of Famer. Borderline, but I would put him in.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so tough. I definitely borderline.
It's borderline.
Like, because I don't know. It depends on what. Yeah, playoff pedigree and stuff. But that's huge. Like, that's what you play for. Like, if you're not playing to play in the playoffs and you're not playing to perform well in the playoffs, then I don't know what the fuck you're playing for.
Well, yeah, you play for rings. I mean, that's obvious. That's what you play for. I mean, granted, it's your team that wins the.
Right.
So it shouldn't come into play as much as people think it does. I think people make a bigger deal out of it than is necessary. But another thing I wanted to mention was what you're talking about, like, looking at the advanced stats and these stat heads and stuff. To be honest with you, look, XFIP and FIP and Sierra and all this stuff. Look, I personally like both. Like, I'm in the middle ground. I like the historic facts too. You got to understand that I think a lot of the sabermetric stuff it's more predictive. But you can't, when you look at a person's career, when you look at, say, John Lester's career, now I don't know his number. I don't know his total numbers. I know his career ERA is like something like 3.6 or whatever it may be. But if his FIP is like 3.9, are you going to judge him going to the Hall of Fame on what they said he should have done? Or are you going to judge him what the results were on the field? Are we going to start doing that now? So that's a little ridiculous to me.
No, it always should be on the field.
And XFIP and stuff like that that's predictive. Like, when you see a guy has a 2.8 ERA and his XFIP is 4.1, well, that's when you sell the guy in a dynasty league or you sell the guy in your fantasy league because you know he's going to regress in general. You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. Like a hitter, the guy's batting 280 and his BABIP is 410. It's not going to last. Obviously, we know that. You know what I mean? But when you're looking at actual baseball in the Hall of Fame, you look at the moments, you look at what they did on the field and the results they had on the field. Not the FIP, XFIP, Sierra, like all that stuff. No, that shouldn't have anything to do with it.
Well, that's why I have such a hard time with look at Jason Vargas, for example. That's why I have such a hard time with even people calling him trash. Now, granted, I'm one of the people that I will stack up against Jason Vargas when we're playing DFS. Yeah, I'm looking for that explosion game against him. But that doesn't mean that he's not solid to a certain point. I'm not saying his whole career has been. That's a different argument. You're not comparing him to John Lester. I'm not doing that by any means. But if you're looking at guys that have at least been pretty solid even this year, or this year at least, other than a couple games, like the blow-up games like we're talking about, he's been better than like his FIP and XFIP, So then you got guys that'll just use that as, oh, he's trash, he's terrible. Well, maybe he's not. Maybe there's something to be said about that because maybe he has a higher fly ball rate or he pitches to more fly balls or more ground balls. You don't know what the guy's doing that is affecting those numbers unless you're diving that deep into it. But and you have to also watch how he's actually pitching, how the pitches are coming off, how he's using them against what type of hitters. I don't know. There's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of predictive stuff too. But yeah, when you're judging guys based on their career, it should be strictly on the numbers that they've produced on the field, the surface stats. Like it really should be only surface stats and how what the results based. That's it.
Right, and I have a big problem with, like, I know people use p-val, like for pitch value, like as far as someone's fastball, slider, curveball, whatever it may be. I have a huge problem with that because I see people use it, but
Yeah.
it means nothing to me because it doesn't count sequencing. So,
Right.
My fastball, if I throw it on an 0-2 count and I groove it, well, yeah, maybe, it may be 98, but it's going to get blasted, most likely. Whereas if I throw a curveball there and I strike you out, well, that ups the p-val for my curveball. Like, it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't take everything into consideration. There's so much more that goes into pitching and sequencing and what players you're facing and stuff like that. Like, p-val, how can you put a value on a certain pitch? I just don't. I mean, I get it in general, but like, I just don't. I don't see it as being predictive of anything.
Do they look at? See, I'm not a p-val guy. Like I
don't like it.
Honestly, it's not so much just because I don't like it, or it's more so the fact that I'll be plain out honest with you. I don't fucking understand it because. Now, I mean, I know you're saying like it doesn't count the sequencing and stuff, but like then that's part of my issue with it because you have so many different p-vals for different. It's just so weird. Like then you got the cutter is different than the two-seamer, but they effectively have the same batting average against. And then there's guys that are using. Where was I going with that? Guys that are using it as, they're just judging the movement. They're not judging the control,
right?
Or they're judging both of those things, but they're not judging how it actually is getting hit, or they're judging how it's getting hit, movement, but they're not judging, like you said, of I don't know the p-val thing. I don't understand it. Like you can get different.
It's garbage. You don't need to understand it. It's garbage.
You get different.
As far as I'm concerned,
you get different definitions from different people, though. Like.
Well, that's the thing too. And what is a cutter and what's a two-seam fastball? Like, who's the judge of that? Fangraphs, Baseball Savant. Like, I mean, this is the thing too. And then you got hard hit percentage that I found out a couple months ago. Hard hit percentage for Fangraphs is guys that watch video and be like, "Oh, that's a hard hit ball."
Yeah.
There's no scientific like that. Like baseball, Baseball Reference and Baseball Savant, they use like StatCast stuff. What Fangraphs doesn't. You would think Fangraphs would be like a little more. I don't know. I've always seen them as a little more sabermetric, but this is like a non-exact science. So this is what I mean. The guys are using these numbers, and I use hard hit percentage too. But guys are using these numbers. But where are these numbers coming from? These numbers are coming from a guy watching a base. Oh yeah, he hits the ball through the hole. Yeah, that's a hard hit. Like, what? Really? Like,
right. It is ridiculous. It is.
And yet these same defenders of sabermetrics will tell you the eye test doesn't matter. Well, obviously it does because the eye test is the one that's giving you hard hit percentage on Fangraphs. So, like, where are we going with this then? Yeah, that's the thing. Even with p-val, like you said, you don't understand it, you don't use it, whatever. This is the thing. You have so many numbers now because everyone wants to be that guy that like came up with this metric or does this that predicts this and stuff like that. It's just infiltrated with numbers. No one understands half the stuff that's going on. And not only that, 75% of the numbers don't mean shit on their own.
Wait. Did you just come up with that number?
Yes, I just invented that number. Yes, but I mean that's my p-val. But But like most of these numbers, first of all, they don't mean shit on their own, especially. See, that's the thing too. When baseball people love to cherry pick numbers, we all love to do that, to prove our point. We cherry pick a number from this guy and be like, look at this guy, how good he is because of this. Because in this metric he compares to like Trout and Yelich. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just stupid. We cherry pick anyway, and now with all these stupid numbers, we cherry pick like one thing. See, the only predictive way to do this, the only way to try to predict baseball or to try to judge baseball is to use the numbers in unison. They all have to be used together, or at least a few of them. Look, if I have someone that's got a hard hit percentage, let's say 40%, which is great. And this is another thing too, not to get sidetracked, but I will. But if I told you that someone has a hard hit percentage of 37%, I mean, that's good. But with the average person, like, what's the average?
No,
no one tells anyone what the average is.
Yeah.
So if I say, oh, this guy's got a 37 hard hit percentage, he's got a 20% line drive percentage, he's got this. Well, is that normal? Is that better than normal? Is that bad? Like, no one knows what's what. And this is the confusing, and this is why, and this is the thing. It's the reluctance of the old school people to learn anything new because it's what they've known in the history of baseball, and they can match up stats like average home runs, RBIs with throughout baseball back to Babe Ruth. And it's also the impatience of the sabermetric group that adheres to these stats, but is not willing to explain what the fuck they mean to the old school people. So the old school people have no clue what these mean, and they're like, all right, well, I don't care about that shit.
Yeah.
And yet the new school people are like, well, you have to care about this because it's so important. But they won't explain it to anybody. They want to keep it like close to the vest, and they want like the knowledge to be theirs or something like that. Like, I don't get it. And that I think the attitude on both sides is the disconnect. It's not so much the numbers themselves, although the new numbers are ridiculous, some of them. But I think it's the attitude on both sides. It's almost like, not to get political, but Republican, Democrat, both sides dig their heels in. You have the right and the left. Well, there are moderates. There is a common ground here. You know what I mean? So I'm saying that for old school baseball people and stat heads now, there's a middle ground. You can take some of the stats that are newer and be like, oh, well, I didn't realize Mickey Mantle had a WRC plus of 145. Like, you know what I mean? You can kind of incorporate it and be like, all right, well, I can see this. I can see how this makes sense, how this judges a player more so than just average home runs or RBIs. And the new people that just look at stats, they have to understand a player like a John Lester that is a veteran on the team, that there's intangibles there that he brings that improves other people on his team. So if John Lester only has a 3 WAR for that season, what did he bring to Cole Hamels? What did he bring to Kyle Hendricks? What did he bring to Pedro Strop? You know what I mean? Like, did he add a half a WAR to each of them? So then isn't he worth 4.5 WAR? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's such a mix of everything that you can't be just tunnel visioned like that. You have to accept it all and then decipher it, what works and what doesn't. Sorry. I just went totally on a rant.
No, that's
all right.
That's understandable because that's kind of how I feel about it. And like, makes a lot of sense about the disconnect too. But like what I was thinking with the hard hit percentage, like, no, like baseball savant, yeah, obviously data behind it. And then with Fangraphs, and I was new to finding that out too, just recently, or like a couple months ago or whatever. That they don't, it's just an eyeball test. But like what I will use it as, because I don't want to completely knock it, because I feel like there is something to be said about it as well, is like the splits, like lefty righty. Like I will still look at that because I feel like baseball savant, it's not, if it's on there, it's not as readily accessible. So I can't find the splits between lefty righty hard contact percentage and that sort of thing. But like, yeah, you summed it up perfectly because these old guys, like they don't know what it means, like some of this stuff, and we should be doing a better job of explaining it to them because in a lot of ways they've taught us all about the game.
Yeah.
So we've learned from them. Now they can learn some stuff from us, and I'm not calling myself like a spring chicken, but like, like we should be kind of doing a better job of relaying some of this stuff and using it like you said as all right, all these numbers collectively. Like, let's not nitpick too much. Like, okay, if a guy has 20 homers and a guy has 10, you can nitpick with that, or like, all right, he's got more power. You know what I mean? You can kind of judge on that sort of thing, or a guy has 10 walks to 50 walks. Okay, he's got a better eye. You know what I mean? You can, like with the older people, they look at the counting stats a lot too, instead of looking at walk percentage. But it all kind of realistically is the same thing. And like slugging percentage and on base percentage, and it's not overly analytical in those departments, or the slugging percentage, but yeah, they all kind of coincide. It's just a matter of how you use them. Like you just can't use look at p-val and be like, oh well, he's got a p-val of 4 for his curveball, and his fastball is a negative 0.9 or something. Like, why? How is that? He's got a nice ride to it. It's 98 miles per hour. He throws it high in the zone. With the swing path, the guys they're trying to lift the ball. So if he's throwing it up in the zone more times than not, he's probably missing bats. So his whiff percentage is still good. I mean, you got to look at all the stuff.
Right.
You can't, so it's like, yeah, I agree with you. There's too much nitpicking and not enough looking at the whole total picture.
Well, what's happened too is even amongst the sabermetric community, it's like everyone's latched on to like their own thing, like their stat that they use, like DRS or UZR or whatever it may be, like defensively especially, because defensive stats have become like a big thing now. Now Fangraphs has pitch framing incorporated in their DRS, like incorporated in their WAR and everything. So catchers, good pitch framers like a Brian McCann, like a Russell Martin, Yadi Molina, guys like that get a boost on like WAR. That's why you can't say WAR anymore. You have to say B WAR or F WAR because they're completely different.
Yeah.
Because I've seen guys like longer careers that have like 15. It's like a difference of like 15. So, and even with WAR, so you're gonna tell me a guy who had a 60 WAR for his career is better than a guy who had a 58.3? Really? 1.7 over the course of 15 years? And you're gonna tell me the guy's better? Like like stuff like that. And that's the thing too that bothers me about WAR is that people use it as like an exact science. Dude, it's an amalgamation of like everything. So if someone has like a 1 win above replacement over the course of 15 years, you're going to tell me he's definitively better than the other guy? Come on.
It's ridiculous. And this one guy was trying to argue with me about Yohan Moncada because of his WAR so fucking good. Yeah, he's putting up a good year, and he's becoming the guy that the Sox thought as far as prospects go, and he's developing. But you're going to look at his WAR and some of those other numbers and tell me that he's the best third baseman in Chicago? He's better than Chris Bryant? And he's on the level of Javi Baez? And his future is so much brighter than Javi Baez? That's the type of stuff that I have to hear because his WAR is good this year. You know what I mean?
Like, it's exactly.
It's ridiculous.
The defensive metrics. I get into this because I'm in a sabermetrics chat, right? So with a bunch of people on Twitter, and we talk about like all DRS and like UZR, like how it's used, and it's used better like depending on what position you're playing. I mean, UZR is useless for a first baseman. It's useless. You know what I mean? Basically, it's useless. How many balls get hit? How many balls get hit that way that a first baseman can realistically get during the course of the season? Like, it's not going to matter. You know, whereas UZR for a shortstop or a center fielder is big because they have to cover ground. Their range. It judges their range. I mean, you know, so stuff like that, like, you know, and certain metrics from certain places use UZR. Yeah. It's just, you know, there's so many different metrics and the different ways these different sites figure them out. They're more useful on certain sites than they are on others. So it's like now you have to pick and choose. Now I'm going to use Fangraphs DRS because they use UZR. I'm going to use them for like infielders, second, short, and third. And then for outfielders, because Fangraphs overjudges DRS, they put a higher premium on outfield arms. I'm probably going to use Baseball Reference or Baseball Savant, like for outfield defensive metrics. So now it's getting so convoluted. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like,
it's really nitpicky. It really is.